Hey everybody, Duane here, sharing with my Christian illusionist friends. Last week I began a series on marketing, a series of short lessons. I'm going to try to keep them coming on a regular basis. I can't promise it'll be every week, but it'll be close to that. And hopefully you can see the lessons as they go. Last week when I introduced the series, I mentioned I want to keep the lessons short. My goal was 5 to 7 minutes. Well, I've changed that. I've given myself up to 10 minutes, simply because I think the content is too important to compress it any more than that. But 10 minutes isn't too long. If the videos were longer, you might say I don't have time to watch it, and you'll file it away, and you'll forget to watch it. Whereas this is only 10 minutes, so hopefully you have the time to tune in before you set it aside. When we began last week, I dealt with the fact that the first marketing truth, the most important marketing truth, is that in the long run, nothing is superior to a show that gets repeat business and referrals. Therefore, marketing begins with ensuring you have such a show. So you want to start with a quality product, and especially in the early days of your career, and then I would say continuing to concentrate on it all throughout your career, you keep on developing your performance skills. You don't want to put the cart before the horse. In other words, you don't want to start trying to market a great show before you really have a great show. And let me say, it's easy to think your show's great because you're doing tricks and your families and friends think you're awesome. But most of us need to put more work into the quality of our performance and really need to up our game. Another corollary to this, and we're just reviewing last week, is don't forget that people remember quality long after they forget the price. So, whatever they paid for the show, they're likely to forget it, but they're not going to forget the experience you gave them. And so that experience is ever so important. My commitment, especially in my illusion shows, was to convey to the audience that within the first 8 minutes of the show, they already had the price of admission. I wanted people to believe that, wow, what we paid for the ticket's already worth it. And the show's only 8 minutes in. And I timed my 8-minute openings to make sure it was just filled with tons and tons of wonderful stuff. Well, that was last week. So this week we move on to the second key marketing truth. So the first one is this matter of repeat business and referrals is where it's at. If you don't get that, you're not going to survive. If you get that, you can survive even if your other marketing isn't all that good. But here's the second critical marketing truth. Invest your marketing efforts in that which multiplies. And this could be what we might call the organic side of marketing. And that is, it's about people and relationships. And I will say that not only was this the bottom line for me in my marketing, but it was also the overarching and really the capstone concept of everything I did. And that is, I'm not going to first invest, now listen to this statement, I think it's important. I'm not going to first invest in that which produces. I'm going to first invest in that which reproduces. And it's the matter of addition versus multiplication. I talked about it in the first lesson, but I'm going to review it, and this time in a little different way. In terms of marketing, we must understand that we want multiplication. That addition is way too much work in terms of the effort that comes in relation to it. And you say, Duane, I don't get you. Okay. Here's how it works. Addition versus multiplication. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. You'd say, hey, addition's better than multiplication. I got 2 versus 1. All right. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. You go, oh, well, I guess multiplication and addition are pretty much the same. They both get the same result. Hang in there. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. Oh, now multiplication's ahead by 3. 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. Now multiplication's ahead by 8. 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 times 5 is 25. Now multiplication's ahead by 15. 6 plus 6 is 12. 6 times 6 is 36. I think you see where this is going. 10 plus 10 is 20, but 10 times 10 is 100, which means when you get to 10, now you're 90 ahead of the matter of addition. And you say, well, okay, I understand that. I can do math. But how does this work in terms of marketing? And that is, it's the understanding that the thing that pays off most is that which reproduces. And you say, well, what reproduces? The answer is people. People reproduce. So in practical terms, we must value and cultivate relationships. People must know us, they must like us, they must believe in us, and I'll tell you this, if people know you, like you, and believe in you, they will get you work. And not only will they get you more work, but they'll tell other people about you, or when you get the more work, these other people are going to tell yet other people about you, and this is what I'm talking about with multiplication. All of a sudden, that one person that likes you got another show, you got 2 shows out of that, excuse me. The 2 people who you have these shows with, each like you, now it's 4 shows. The 4 who like you, if you're doing a good job, it can multiply and multiply and multiply. I'll give you an example of this. In 2012, I did something that could have turned out to be the stupidest business decision of my life. And that is, I went to Custer, South Dakota, and I decided to put in a magic theater. Now, here are the issues. There had never been a magic theater in that area before. There had only been one theater there before, and it was a country music show, and when the guy that owned it passed away, the show died. And a number of people had tried to revive the show and couldn't do it. And the town had concluded that it's simply not possible to have a show where you sell tickets and to have that show work in our community. The community had given up on it, and the experts would have said it can't be done. It was in South Dakota, which is a sparsely populated state. I mean, we are far away from the hubbub and activity of metropolitan areas, so I didn't have a big population to draw on. And then the region's known for its natural beauty and its Old West flavor, so people didn't come to South Dakota expecting to see a magic show. They came expecting to see Mount Rushmore. So, to make matters worse, and I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just glad I was young and dumb because nowadays I'd probably be afraid to do this, even though I think I know how to make it work. But anyway, this very first year I hired a staff of 5 people to help me on stage and a stage manager. So there were 6 people involved in putting on the show, and then Mary had front-end help with concessions. She had 4 employees. So now we've got 11 employees, plus Mary and we've got to pay them all. And then, to make things even more challenging, for our first summer season, we did 3 months in the summer, I did shows every single night. Not just on the weekends, not just on the prime times. We did shows every single night, which meant night after night after night, we had to bring in enough people to pay our staff, to pay our bills, and hopefully get some money for Mary and I. Well, thank the Lord we did it. By the grace of God, and first and foremost, I say to God be the glory. By the grace of God, we did it. But also, on the practical side, we did it thanks to the power of multiplication. You say, I don't quite get it, so here's how it goes. When we moved to that area, we didn't have a big marketing budget. In fact, we had almost no marketing budget. So, the first thing Mary and I did is we made it a point to eat out as often as we could. And that was a cost. We felt like it was a cost of doing business. So I ate daily, at least 2 meals out. And I saw it as a business thing because I got to know the waiters, the waitresses, the servers, the business owners. I got to chat with people in the community. I was kind to them. I tipped the servers very, very well. Built relationships with all the servers of every restaurant in the area. And guess what? When people came to Custer, South Dakota, and they said, we're here in Custer, what's the one thing we need to make sure we do? The waitress or waiter or server would say, make sure you don't miss the grand magic show. And so I would invest in relationships with those people, and those people became voices for me. It was a multiplication kind of thing. Another thing that happened, and really I can't claim I understood this, just thank the Lord it happened and I sort of stumbled into it. But the staff that I hired, none of them were professionals. I didn't import anybody from any other place. I didn't find some assistant and say, can you come to Custer and help me? I didn't do that. And listen carefully, because I would advise you to consider what I'm talking about here. I hired kids who are out of high school or going to college who had the open summer, and I trained them, or I should say Mary trained them, and I was very selective in who we picked, but they were all people from the community who worked for us. Guess what? When the show started, their moms and dads and brothers and sisters and grandpas and grandmas all came to see that person they knew perform. And anytime friends or relatives came to town, they said, hey, we all got to go to the Grand Magic Show because so-and-so is in it. and around the community, because the parents, the families, the moms and dads, brothers and sisters were proud of their sibling who was in the show or their relative. And not only were they proud of that, they were proud of the show. They would talk all over the community about it. And so all of a sudden, I've got sort of these living microphones going all over the region by way of friends and family, the people I had working for me, who were saying, you got to see the Grand Magic Show. You got to see the magic show. This is what I mean by reproduction. I didn't have to invest in what those people said to other people. I invested in getting to know those people. I invested in their family, but they took it from there. They multiplied the effort. And Mary and I also got involved with the community. We took part in just about anything going on. We tried to make friends everywhere, and before long the entire town wanted us to succeed and was determined to help us do so, so they would talk up the show as well. Now I want to make it clear that when we did this, our interest was genuine. I mean, we weren't doing this just to use people to build the show. We were doing it because Mary and I really like people. We like making friends. So this is where our heart was anyway, but we were intentional. We realized, I have to get out and do this. Even if I'm feeling a little lazy or whatever, I've got to go make some connections. I've got to go get involved with that event. So relating to my Grand Magic Show, which lasted there 7 years, and I think we'd probably still be there had I owned the property. But since somebody else owned the property, they made some business decisions that changed things. Basically had to do with not the owner, but the heirs of the owner inheriting the land and deciding, since our show was successful, this would be a great time to sell it all and make a whole bunch of money at once. But that's another story. So why I shared that illustration, how does that apply to those watching this program? Because I've got to get ready to wrap this up. Well, I'll put it this way. Do not allow yourself to ever forget how much relationships matter and how much people matter. Whether it's a pastor, it's a librarian, it's a school teacher, it's an activities director, learn their name. When they talk, listen. If they share something personal, take time, care about it. I know you're in a hurry to set up your show, but genuinely be interested in them as a human being. And do not, and I repeat, do not think that you're such a great magician that your people are simply going to be blessed by your presence, and you are so cool and such a star that you don't even need to be nice to them, because once they see your awesome magic skills, they're just going to want to see you again and again and again. Don't think that way, and do not think that the key to success is impressing everybody with how great you are. You try to do that, you're going to turn more people off than you are going to make friends. It doesn't matter how good your magic is. If people don't like you, they won't have you back. And on the other side, if people like you, they might have you back even though they know somebody else who technically might be a superior performer. But it doesn't matter. They like you. They care about you as a person. They want to help you succeed. And I will say this is why some magicians who have some great magical skills, they maybe can do far better sleight of hand than you can, but they can't get shows like you do. And the reason is they're very skillful, but they're not likable. They're not nice people. All they really care about is convincing people how great they are. Well, it's very hard to keep these lessons short, but I'm going to wrap this up. And so the takeaway is, and I'm going to check my notes to make sure I get it right, to succeed in terms of getting shows and selling tickets, you must pay attention to people. First and foremost, it's about people. Make friends, be kind, be helpful, be cooperative, be polite, clean up after yourself. Those of you who do the snowstorm and you say, I'm cool, I can leave, and the mess is on the floor, I was so great, they're honored to clean up after me. And then you wonder why they don't invite you back. It's because you left a mess. You weren't nice that way. Take time to clean up after yourself. Don't assume that they're going to clean up the mess and be thrilled that they got to do it for such an awesome person. Don't think that way. And get to know everybody you can, whether it's the waitress in Waffle House or it's the mayor of the local town. You'd be surprised by how relationships in the long run pay off. Now I'm going to add a bonus here, just a quick thought, final thought. It's common for magicians to rather proudly or boastfully say that they don't do anything for free and that they're too smart to do a show for exposure. Don't listen to them. You need exposure. You need to get out and do things. Here's how I've handled it. I never give the whole show away for free. I don't give everything away for free, because if they've seen it, then they don't need to pay to see it. But I'm glad to give 5 minutes away or 10 minutes away for free. I'm glad to do something to support a fundraiser or some other effort in the community. And again, I've been very happy to do this because it's about relationships. It's about people. It's about showing that you care. If you're hiding in your office and just working on your computer and thinking this is where all the marketing happens and magically all these shows are going to appear for me because I'm doing all this stuff on my computer, you're missing a very, very important aspect of getting shows. And that is, get out of the computer, get out of the office, and take some time to build relationships and do some things in the community. And if you're traveling, your community is too small to have a lot of repeat shows. I still believe in being a key fixture in your community. But wherever you go, get to know that pastor, get to know his family, get to know whoever you're working with, and really try to build relationships. And isn't this the Christian thing to do? I mean, as Christians, aren't we supposed to love people, care about people, want to invest in people, so that we do what we're supposed to do? And the side benefit is, as we invest in people and care about people, we discover they are willing to invest in us, and they're willing to spread the word so that others would support us too. So hopefully you can mull this over and understand what I was trying to say. I'll go back to start on it. What we've said here is the number one concept as far as, whoops, I got my notes all confused here. But anyway, the number two concept, number one was last week, the number two concept is this matter of thinking about multiplication in your marketing. Look for things that reproduce automatically. If you can build this relationship is just on its own going to continue to let other people know about you, recommend you, refer you, and invite you back. That's it. Duane Laughlin on marketing.